Monkey Tales.
Jack and the Beanstalk, retold by Monkey Tales. Once upon a time in a small Caribbean village, there was a young boy named Jack. Jack lived with his mother in a humble wooden house by the sea. They were very poor, and after many hurricane seasons, the storms had washed away the soil and left the land barren. Each year, fierce winds and pounding rain tore through, leaving behind nothing but hardship, and all they had left was an old, scruffy goat named Wilma. One day, Jack's mother said,
"Jack, go take this goat down to the market and sell it. We need food, and there's no point keeping it if it won't give us milk."
Jack nodded and, with a heavy heart, led the goat down the winding village road. Along the way, he met an old woman who wore a colorful dress and had beads that jingled as she walked.
"Where ya going, young man?"
The old woman asked with a twinkle in her eye.
"To sell my goat, ma'am. We need food."
Jack replied. The old woman chuckled and held out her hand, revealing 3 large, shiny seeds. They were unlike any Jack had ever seen, with colors as bright as a sunset.
"These seeds, boy, are magic. Plant them, and you'll have more than enough to feed you and your mother."
Jack looked at the seeds, then at the goat. Something about the old woman's voice made him feel curious. After a moment of thought, he agreed and handed over the goat in exchange for the seeds. When he got home, his mother's eyes grew wide with disbelief.
"Jack, you traded our goat for 3 seeds."
She exclaimed.
"But they're magic, Mama."
Jack insisted. His mother just sighed, shaking her head, and went inside, leaving him alone. That night, Jack planted the seeds in the sandy soil by their house. To his surprise, by morning, a gigantic stalk had grown up, twisting and turning into the clouds above, with thick green leaves and strong, sturdy branches. The air around it smelled sweet, like ripe mangoes. Jack was too curious to resist. He began climbing, up and up, higher and higher until he broke through the clouds. At the top, he found himself in a beautiful garden filled with lush Caribbean fruits, mangoes, coconuts, and guavas. In the center of the garden was a large, golden hut, and nearby, a large hammock swung between 2 enormous palm trees. Jack's mouth dropped open.
"What kind of place is this?"
he muttered, walking towards the hut. As he peered inside, he saw a table overflowing with coconuts filled with sparkling water, bowls of sugar cane, and golden fish from the sea, glistening under the light. Suddenly, the ground shook, and Jack heard a deep, booming voice echo through the clouds.
"Fee-fi-fo-fum, who dare climb me tree and come into me room?"
Jack quickly hid behind a coconut tree, peeking around as a giant figure appeared. The giant wore bright island clothes, with a straw hat perched atop his head and shells hanging around his neck. His sandals were made from giant palm fronds. The giant took a deep sniff and grumbled,
"I smell a little islander, small and sly. Are you here to steal my treasures?"
"No, sir. I was just looking around.
Jack called out, stepping from behind the tree.
I didn't know anyone lived up here."
The giant squinted down at Jack, then laughed heartily.
"Ah, you're brave to admit it. Not many islanders come up here."
He stroked his chin thoughtfully.
"Well, since you've come all this way, let me give you a gift."
The giant reached into his hut and pulled out a golden calabash that sparkled in the sun.
"This calabash,"
the giant said,
"will never run out of food. Just open it, and anything you wish will appear."
Jack's eyes widened.
"Thank you, sir,"
he said, taking the calabash. The giant waved him off.
"But be careful. If you come back, I won't be as friendly."
Jack climbed back down the beanstalk and showed his mother the magical calabash. Together, they opened it and asked for fresh coconut water, yams, and fish, and all these appeared in an instant. From that day on, they never went hungry. However, Jack grew curious about the giant's garden and climbed back up the beanstalk a second time. This time, he spotted a beautiful golden conch shell near the giant's hammock. He wanted to play with it and see what kind of sound it made, but he didn't stop to think about asking first. As he reached for it, the ground shook, and the giant's voice thundered again.
Fee-fi-fo-fum, who dare climb me tree and come into me wrong?
He quickly grabbed the conch shell and dashed back to the beanstalk, his heart racing as he slid down with the treasure tucked under his arm. The giant, noticing that his prized conch shell was gone, he roared with anger and started to chase after Jack. But Jack was too quick and managed to reach the ground before the giant could catch up. Once he was safe, Jack blew into the conch shell, sending a beautiful, soothing melody through the air. The sound was so calming that even the giant's anger started to fade. When Jack's mother saw him with the golden conch shell, she gently replied,
Jack, you should give the conch shell back to the giant. It's his, and you didn't ask permission to take it.
Jack realized she was right and felt a bit guilty. When Jack approached the giant to return the shell, the giant smiled and said,
You can keep it, as long as you promise to ask for what you want next time. And whenever you use the conch shell for a celebration, I will come and join in on the fun.
I am sorry.
Jack replied.
I'm sorry, Jack replied, Mr. Giant. I promise. You are always welcome to come and dance and sing with us.
From that day on, Jack understood the importance of asking permission before using something that belonged to someone else. He and his mother enjoyed the bounty from the magical calabash, which provided them with all the food they needed, allowing them to live happily and share their blessings with the villagers. And just as Jack had promised, whenever he played a tune on the conch shell, the giant would descend from his home in the clouds to join them. Together with the villagers, they would sing, dance, and fill the air with laughter and joy, creating cherished memories that lasted forever.
Monkey Tales.